Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. I am back, and this is part 2 of What If Deku Was The Flash. As always, if you enjoy, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And I won't waste much of your time because I did kind of take a little bit of a backseat on making this type of content because I took a little bit of a break. But I am back, and I am going to be going into part 2. With that said, let's get right into the what if. Let's get it. We are finally in UA High School. The dream has been fulfilled for Izuku, and it's a dream he never thought he would be capable of. But luckily enough, he's had many people help him along the way, being that his new friend Bakugo, and also his new family, being that of the Bakugos. Now, with that said, we are dealing with Aizawa here, and Aizawa would quickly thrust them into the, well, quirk assessment, because the quirk assessment is a big thing, especially because he wants to see what Izuku is capable of. This is something he hasn't really seen much of, but he is very curious. I mean, he did know about Izuku and has heard about him and the type of things he's capable of, on top of actually seeing all the things that he's been capable of in terms of the original UA entrance exam. But he wants to see what type of quirk he truly has. And quickly, when they begin their quirk assessment, it's obvious that Izuku is extremely powerful. Yes, he's not the strongest, quote unquote, but utilizing his speed, he's able to launch a baseball extremely far, launching it further than anyone except for, well, one person, being that of Ochaku Uraka. But that was before they even saw her throw the baseball in general. Now, they do go through a bit of an awkward situation because, well, Aizawa doesn't like the fact that everyone is so cheery and happy and stuff like that because, well, they got some serious stuff to do. He tells them that this is not fun and games, that this is something extremely serious and that they should be taking it extremely serious, and there is no fun and games in general. And it's pretty obvious what Aizawa means by this, and he tells them that whoever gets last place is going to go home forever. Yeah. They're going to send him home, and that's it. And there's no more being a hero and no more UA High School. Everybody is completely distraught at hearing this, but Izuku, on the other hand, not really distraught. Because at the end of the day, he knows he's going to be able to do this stuff, and he knows he'll be able to actually succeed in all of this. So why would he be afraid? Like, at all. So he begins to just accelerate as much as possible in all of the categories, and he begins to show how good he is at everything, from his ability to throw a baseball, from his agility to his speed. I mean, he is a natural at everything. And even when using maybe like a grip tester and stuff like that, that's easy as well because he just vibrates his hand to the point where it shows that the grip is actually pretty damn strong. Now, it's not like insanely strong, like it's still limited, but he excels at almost every single thing, getting some of the highest scores you can possibly get. And at the very end of it all, let's just say he has no chance at getting eliminated and no chance at actually being the one sent home, because he gets the very top score, which would make Bakugo slightly jealous, but at the same time, that is like his brother now, so he's not too mad about this. But on top of that, he kind of wanted to show what he was capable of, and that show that he was better than Izuku, even though he unfortunately was not able to do so. Now, there is someone else there currently, being that of Shoto Todoroki, that, well, he's not too fond over the idea that Izuku has done so well. I mean, he's actually kind of upset about it. I mean, he wanted to be the one that is up head and shoulders above everyone else, but he kind of just puts his feelings away and doesn't really speak much in general, so there's no point of talking about it, and he'll show what he's capable next time. Now, Izuku, Bakugo, and many others would finish up, and Aizawa would expel somebody, being that of Invisible Girl or Hagakure, and she would come back the very next day. Yeah, the very next day. It's just a ploy so that he can more or less get the best he possibly can out of them, so it doesn't really matter. So the next day that they're actually there in class, ready to do their hero versus villains training, who they actually don't know is running, or or what the training is that they don't actually know who's running it at the moment, they're kind of not surprised that Hagakure shows up a day after, and it's not that big of a deal. Aizawa even says, like, he's going to throw these tests in here and there, and he's sure that they're going to forget about it, so it doesn't even matter that he's bringing it up, which is kind of funny, but also probably true for a class like this. Now, the Heroes vs. Villains training, or the hero-based training, is then said that is not run by Aizawa, but actually run by, and then he comes in bursting through the door, that being the one and only All Might. All Might would bust through the door saying his signature, "I am here," and everybody would freak out. I mean, this is All Might we're talking about. This is super awesome. Heroes vs. Villains training with All Might, that's amazing. They all get on their hero costumes, and Izuku would don his, well, speedster-like suit, and he would have, you know, the red coloring and all of the above with the lightning bolt on his chest and stuff like that. This suit is obviously friction proof, so it allows him to not burn up his clothing entirely, and also it allows him to do many different things with his speed without getting hurt or, you know, somehow hurting himself in general. Now, he begins to wait for All Might to say who's up next and who's gonna go against him and who's his teammate and so on. But once it's announced what they're going to be doing, it's so easy for Izuku to see that this is gonna be one of his lighter days. I mean, yes, this is training, but once the training is revealed, it's something that isn't actually fair. It's actually revealed that they're going to be doing heroes versus villains, and they're going to have villains protecting a bomb that is within a building. But if you touch the bomb, well then, there you go. Then it's over and the heroes win. And the villains have to just last 5 minutes or capture the other heroes or subdue them in some sort of way. And when it's said that it's Ochako Uraraka and also, well, the Flash or Izuku Midoriya, it's pretty obvious who's going to win. Yes, I don't want to understate how good Bakugo is and how good maybe Tenya Ida could be, but at the same time, I mean, a speedster in this situation is absolutely unfair. A speedster is able to dash through every single room you could possibly imagine, and he races through, and since they don't have a special quirk or a special thing that could slow down Izuku or stop him from running in and out as he wishes, it's almost impossible to stop him from touching the bomb, and he would kind of just show up out of nowhere, speeding through the room and touching the bomb. He didn't even need the help from Ochako or anybody like that, because that's how easy it was for him. Now, if he had to go against someone like Todoroki, it might have been a little bit more challenging dealing with the ice, but that's also something that has been within his suit, dealing with heavy or extremely bad weather conditions or obstacles. That's something that his suit actually maintains and is going to help him overall as well. Now, this is a pretty basic thing that goes on. I mean, it was pretty damn easy for him to solidify himself as one of the top prospects in UA, and he continues to show that over and over again. Now, All Might would congratulate him and Ochako, but he would quickly realize that, well, that was extremely unfair. Like, his quirk or his powers are flat out perfect for that situation, and All Might kind of just lets him off and says, well, you know, you do with what you're dealt with kind of thing. Like, you can't really do much about it. So they watch the rest of the people go through, the whole class, of course, and they watch as Todoroki and other people do extremely well, or on the other hand, extremely bad, depending on who you are. Now, this would lead them to eventually having the end of that day and the end of that training session with All Might, in which everybody is a little bit disappointed because, I mean, it is All Might. They really enjoyed having a training session with the #1 hero, so of course you wouldn't want to just leave, right? You would want to actually continue having more knowledge and more training from a hero like All Might. But as always, good things must come to an end, and it did come to an end. So after that day, they do continue on with their training and also just regular school stuff. And one day coming up, actually extremely soon, they actually are dealing with a different type of training. And this is a very important type of training, and that is rescue training. Rescue training is extremely important in the line of work that they're going to be doing as a hero, because being a hero isn't all about being strong, being fast, being smart. Being able to know when to rescue somebody and how to rescue somebody is extremely important, especially for someone like Izuku, who can move at hundreds of miles per hour. I mean, he's going to be an amazing rescue hero, but he still needs to understand how to properly approach rescuing as many people as possible, or basically not hurting people while he's rescuing them. This is important stuff and important things he needs to learn. But unfortunately, his class, being that of Class 1A, will not learn this day. And yes, it's because when they leave on that bus and they head off and everybody talks and everybody's talking about who the strongest in their class is, arguing over this quirk or that quirk, when they would arrive being greeted by Pro Hero 13, they would realize very quickly that this is not your normal situation. This is not your normal kind of rescue training. This right here, well, is something nobody would be expecting, and that's because villains would show their face and threaten many people there, including the students and many teachers as well. Now, I will say many of the students believed initially that, well, everything is kind of fake. Oh, it's not fake, it's not real, right? Like, I mean, why would it be real? This has to be some elaborate thing so that people can get good training in or something like that. But this, what they're doing now, is completely real. So when this guy with a hand on his face comes out of a portal and a giant monster-like creature does as well, it's made very apparent that this is a very serious situation, a very serious one. And before Izuku can actually jump into action, he'd be teleported away. He tries to dash out, or tries to more or less run as fast as possible, but he would immediately show up in a pool of a giant lake, or a lake of some sorts that is in the rescue facility. He opens his eyes to see two fish-like creatures going to attack him. Luckily enough, Suyu, or Asui, comes in and actually helps him a lot, but he begins to twirl his arms as it begins to propel water and air all the way toward those creatures, and it makes some sort of a vacuum of kind of some sorts. They launch into the sky, and he begins to hover above. She is pretty shocked by this and says that they could probably leave now and get out of here by him doing that, but he says that he's definitely getting tired and they should try to head to the boat just for a brief second, and then he should be able to get them over by just propelling them. He lands on the boat with her and also Mineta, and they talk about the plan. The plan is more or less to propel them forward and try to clear the distance of this small lake of some sorts, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Luckily, the villains are actually not a problem. Izuku didn't realize this, but when spinning his arms, it created a vacuum and it literally sucked them down to the point where they are kind of trapped and they can't really move that well, and they're kind of in a bad spot. So at the moment, they're kind of incapacitated, and they don't even know that they could just straight up just leave. They could swim through this whole thing if they really wanted to, but of course, that's a little bit more dangerous than they probably like. Now, they head back to where the normal area is, and they see that Aizawa is actually fighting off a ton of villains. Izuku would then take off. He would take Mineta and also Asui and place them somewhat further away. Yeah, so like kind of down the road. Not fully toward the school, but places them there. He would race back and begin knocking out a ton of the villains that are trying to attack Aizawa. By a ton, I mean straight up would knock out almost every single one. Aizawa would then tell him that he needs to go, that he needs to run to UA as quick as possible and get there, like ASAP, and get some help, in which Izuku nods his head as he takes off. He begins to take off, and he gets to Mineta and also Asui again, grabbing them and dragging them back to, well, UA. He's actually there pretty damn quick, and honestly, with a couple trips, he might actually be able to get out all the students, and he assumes that's what Aizawa is probably going to have him eventually do. But he goes there and he immediately speeds through different offices and tells everybody he possibly can that the USJ is under attack. He gets all the people round up and basically told what's going on and stuff, and he even grabs a couple pro heroes and says that if they're ready to fight, that he can get them there now, in which they say yes, of course, and a couple of them, obviously some of the teachers, would get raced over, and Izuku says that he can do the same for a couple more when he gets back in a second. But a couple of them would say that it might be best for him to try and grab as many students and get them out of there, but they're not so sure about if that's the best choice or course of action. But he would take off, bringing a couple more pro heroes, and with the added pro heroes, it definitely helps Aizawa not, completely kick the bucket or get extremely injured, even though the Nomu is a tough ask no matter what, even though you have the extra pro heroes. But it does kind of eliminate the threat of Shigaraki. Luckily enough, All Might would arrive, and having the extra pro heroes would help in the overall battle, and it would quickly turn the tides for the heroes. Izuku would continue racing back and forth, bringing more and more pro heroes, and eventually it gets to the point where the villains are flat out overwhelmed. The Nomu, Kurogiri, and Shigaraki are completely overwhelmed by the speed and also the extreme amount of heroes that are arriving. Shigaraki is about to actually leave, telling Kurogiri that it's time for them to go, but a giant gust of wind would slam Kurogiri into the wall, and Bakugo himself would use an explosion on the metal body of Kurogiri, realizing what he's protecting. Quickly, they would actually subdue Shigaraki, and Shigaraki would be put in cuffs as quick as possible by Izuku. So they end up capturing Shigaraki and Kurogiri in this time, but before they could even realize it, someone else is there, and it's not a good look, because the other person that is just arriving actually through a portal, sends chills down everyone's spine, because when he shows his face or lack thereof, everybody freaks the hell out. More like one person, more specifically, and that's would be All Might. All Might would look at the person and see who he is, realizing that this is All For One coming through a portal from the ground. He would immediately try to attack All For One, but he would dodge easily and would be able to dodge through a portal and then out to another, actually putting portals underneath the Nomu, Kurogiri, and Shigaraki, making it so that they escape. He would then tell All Might that he'll be seeing him soon, and that it might even be sooner than he could possibly imagine. They would fall through the portals together, but it seems like the heroes still won the day, and have won the day considerably. And that's all with the help of one Izuku. Izuku has done quite a bit, and he gets pretty damn congratulated by everybody, including a lot of the teachers. I mean, he did some crazy things, and on top of that, he's shown how good his speed could possibly be for reinforcements and so much more on top of that. Most, if not all, the teachers realize that Izuku is probably one of the only people that is flat out hero ready, or at least field work ready for sure. Izuku definitely deserves and probably will get better treatment in terms of having more ways of actually affecting other people, or more opportunities that could also affect him in the long run. But even him, he's going to have to deal with some stuff coming up very soon, because what's normally kind of a cool and awesome moment with the UA Sports Festival, let's just say is going to be a lot different than what Izuku is imagining. Because the day of the UA Sports Festival, after, all of the time, or the little bit of a time off leading into the Sports Festival, is going to be a day that Izuku will remember forever. And it might sound ominous, and it probably is, because the day that he's going to remember is the day he's going to meet who is could be or is supposed to be his greatest villain ever. The UA Sports Festival would begin, and it would begin with a speech from Izuku. Izuku talks to the whole crowd, saying that he's excited to put on a show and show everybody what he's truly capable of. He continues to go on and on about his capabilities and also what he's going to be able to do today, and especially in front of the entirety of the crowd. He then says that everyone's going to put on a show and that his whole class is going to come out on top. He continues talking, but as he is, someone that is kind of unknown to everybody is standing basically at the top of this giant stadium. They are actually clenching their fists as Izuku is talking and continues to say the same phrase over and over again, saying that he does not deserve this, he does not deserve this. Over and over again, which is a creepy and scary thing, and quickly someone would realize, and security would realize, that this person is at the very top of the stadium. They would go up there, but as they arrive, the person is gone in a flash, no longer actually being there, and it would confuse and kind of scare everybody, because, I mean, where the hell did they go? Did they just vanish? How did they teleport? They have no idea. But they kind of shrug it off initially, but Izuku, standing at the podium still, would see somebody dash in front of him. Standing directly in front of Izuku is someone else. Standing directly in front of Izuku is a person in a suit, almost the inverse of him, but with a combination of yellow, white, and a reversed bolt that is staring at him. This person would begin speaking and would have vibration in their voice, telling him that he does not deserve what is coming and does not deserve what he actually is going to get. But this, as this person would then punch Izuku in the stomach, sending him flying, they then say that this is what they deserve. As quickly a fight breaks out and heroes begin to try and swarm and stop the somewhat reverse-like Flash or the reverse-like Izuku, but quickly it's obvious that only Izuku can keep up or catch up to this person. Izuku would chase after this person through the city, wondering who they are, but Izuku, luckily enough, is able to grab his suit and continues to chase the person as far as possible, who eventually would be named or deemed the Reverse Flash. Izuku would continue chasing, but the Reverse Flash would not give up at all, being faster than Izuku and seemingly a lot more motivated to make sure that Izuku feels what he's going to feel. Izuku would then get punched and sent into a car, and he would try to dodge, but it's obvious that this Reverse Flash is so much stronger and has a more grasp on, well, the speed force or whatever this is their speed, more than Izuku even does himself. Now, Izuku would continue trying to fight back, and some heroes would even converge, but it wouldn't matter. The Reverse Flash would be beating him senseless, and it seems like every time he tries to keep up or even tries to get away, he could do neither. He cannot keep up, he cannot escape, and the same thing keeps getting repeated, that he doesn't deserve it, that he doesn't deserve what he's going to get, in which Izuku is confused, saying and spurting out that he doesn't even know who this is. He doesn't even know that who the person is, and he begins to say that he was struck by lightning and that he was gifted these powers under false pretenses, under a tragedy. He was supposed to die. He was supposed to, and as he is about to say another thing, the Reverse Flash would throw lightning at him, shocking him through his body as he remembers almost every single thing that his mother did to him. And on top of that, why his mother even did this in the first place to him, strapping him down to a chair and forcing him to get struck by lightning. A memory that has been repressed for a little bit now, but a memory that is now spurting out at the worst time possible. Izuku would then stagger to his feet and say all of the things that are going through his head about his mother and about how he got his powers, but the Reverse Flash doesn't want to hear a single thing, saying that it doesn't matter how you got your powers, it is a matter of that you have them, and that he's the reason why that the Reverse Flash, or whoever this is the way they are. in which is a scary thing because Izuku says that he has no idea who they are, and then it would be remarked that it's because they haven't even met just yet, that they haven't met just yet, but they're going to meet very soon. Very soon. Now, they would then beat the brakes off of Izuku, making it so that he basically lays there completely unconscious. Izuku would try and get up, but struggles and cannot even move an inch. Quickly, it's realized Izuku has officially and obviously lost this fight. But luckily enough, he's not dead, but his laying body unconscious or hurt extremely bad is left there by the Reverse Flash, and heroes would eventually converge on him, asking if he's okay. But the out-cold Izuku can't say a thing, as electricity would form around his body and would begin to burst, as white and yellow electricity would surround him and then dissipate at the same time. Izuku would feel that the speed within him is not gone or anything like that, but it's definitely unstable, or maybe something of that degree. But it's probably because he just got everything, or basically the piss beat out of him. So, I mean, what are you going to do when you get beat that badly? Now, that's beyond the point because he is semi-unconscious at this point. But they do bring him to a hospital and he's put out of commission for a good little bit. He misses a good chunk of what's going to occur, and they do send him work and stuff like that as he needs it, and he tries to do his work, and luckily enough, the speed or his speedster abilities allow him to do work extremely fast, so keeping up with all the work he needs to catch up on is pretty damn easy. And this does also allow him to make sure that his speed is all in check and not completely ruined by the occasion that occurred, you could call it. And Izuku would realize that it seems like his speed is a-okay. But he definitely does need to keep training because whoever that was faster than him, and he needs to be able to beat them if they are faster than him. But that's for another time. He shakes it off, continuing to finish his work, and then also continues to more or less deal with whatever he needs to deal with. Information would get to him though, and they would talk about some sort of internships. But unluckily, he's unable to actually participate very much. He does get a couple invitations from different heroes and stuff like that. I mean, he's a popular guy. But unfortunately, it's not something he's able to really do, especially in his condition. He's actually still recovering, and they basically just have him at UA, training and just preparing as much as possible. They talk about how they've never had a student that has more or less an arch nemesis, and they would talk about how they don't get why this person even hates him so much. Izuku says that it was an odd thing and everything's a little fuzzy, but they did say something about that they haven't even met yet, which he doesn't understand. It doesn't make sense. And, well, Aizawa would hear this and ask if he could possibly run fast enough to time travel, in which he would be kind of shocked to even hear this, and he says theoretically if he's faster, maybe, and there's probably a lot of things that would have to go into that, and maybe a support hero would be able to kind of figure that out a little bit more than he can. But quickly Aizawa would ask, how much faster is this so-called Reverse Flash? But then quickly Izuku would realize what he's saying. Aizawa is implying that the Reverse Flash is from the future. And this would shock Izuku, saying that's ridiculous. There's no way that he's from the future. In which that would terrify Izuku entirely, because that means that he needs to get a whole lot faster, way faster than he's ever been, and way faster than anyone ever will be. Now, Aizawa would then say, if he is from, or this person is from the future, then there must be something he does later on that affects them. And if time isn't as malleable as you think, maybe changing for the person in this timeline would affect another timeline. In which Izuku would shrug and say that he has no idea. I mean, how is he supposed to know that? I mean, okay, let's just say that he spills coffee on said person. How does he not spill coffee on said person in the future. I mean, he doesn't get it. He doesn't, not at all. And Izuku would kind of shake his head, and Aizawa would shake his head as well, saying that the kid needs to get faster, fast enough to stop this thing, so let's do that first and worry about some sort of after temporal thing later. In which Izuku says that they can worry about him getting faster now, and that must be probably a little bit probably a better idea than trying to figure out some sort of future stopping thing. Aizawa nods and says that they're going to be working on some support items that could amp up his training, but also could amp up maybe his speed in general, and they'll figure it out, and they truly will, and he wants him to keep a kind of a low profile, at least for now. Well, it seems like Izuku has some massive expectations to live up to and some massive things to deal with. But for now, we're going to end off this part here of What If Deku Was The Flash, and you'll have to find out how this story unfolds in part 3 and the future parts as well. If you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff as always. And I hope y'all enjoyed, like I said, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.